try that again. All right, so let us get where we're going here on this thing. Okay. When we last left our heroes, lots of stuff was going on. A whole lot of stuff was going on. We had Adam and Alicia and Radiance were at the top of the HHL building, and they were having a conversation with the Concords. I'm just going to say the Concords. I don't know that we have a good name for them otherwise. About various imbalances to the
Humors of the universe?
humors of the physic humors of Earth, at least. I don't know about the universe, but certainly this quadrant. Um, the unbalanced humors of cosmic Earth. And Harry was confessing his personal plans, doubts, something like that, to
There were
Andy.
plans.
Plans and doubts, doubts and plans, doubts about plans, so on and so forth. To Andy, uh, while Charlotte was doing some research in different part of the um, Twilight Glade.
Well, unbeknownst.
Unbeknownst and nearby. But Charlotte sort of stumbled across some unpleasant realizations there with regards to the sort of the identity of the statues in the place. To wit, they appear to be the spirits of your friends from the current day, who at some point in time were uh, trapped in these, like, both this space and these stone effigies, and then apparently, I don't know, bocce balled back through space through some sort of cosmic pachinko machine. I guess I'm mixing my metaphors there. And have been sort of like rolling slowly forward through time until they've got their way back, most of the way to where they started from in the first place. And at which point in time, Charlotte let out a yell, and Harry came running, and shouts were made through various channels to get everybody kind of over here. And Summer or Adam, who was it that told the Concords they should come too?
Who would be the one who would invite her new friends?
Well, I couldn't remember if it was Summer had done it and Adam said if you weren't going to, I was about to, or if it was the other way around. I think it was Summer and then Adam.
It was Summer, and Adam chimed in with yeah, come on.
I was going to do that anyway, so. And Alicia rolling her like one eye for each of them, I think, probably.
Yeah. That was not how that scene was going to end as far as Alicia was concerned.
Didn't you say something like you were literally in the process of winding up a snide comment before departing?
Yes, I was I literally had that snide comment in hand when Summer says, "Would you guys like to come along?"
Hello.
Hello. That's okay.
Hello.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it at all. We are just kind of recapping a bit. So we find ourselves at the, Summer and Alicia and Adam and the Concords find themselves outside the Twilight Grove in the park. Any one of you certainly able to sort of activate the entrance so that you can enter into the Twilight Grove. none of you having yet done it, while the Concord sort of are back one rank and sort of hovering, if not expectantly, then certainly, you know, awkwardly present. What do you do? And who does it?
I'm watching them.
Which is kind of where I was going with that. I say kind of. That's absolutely where I was going with that. It's one thing to invite, it's the other one to be the person who like unlocks the door and invites Vlad Tepish in.
No, I'll let him in.
And again, Summer followed an instant later by Adam. Okay, that's the other show that Kelly is currently binging is Castlevania. Co-binging with me, but yeah. Anyway, all right. So you guys go through the, you know, muttered incantation. It still remains a secret entrance. The entrance is identifiable at this, you know, but what the process is slightly different. And again, the park kind of expands until you're sort of inside the area. You're again kind of at the entrance zone of the Twilight Grove, which is, you know, basically you find yourself kind of on a pathway leading what looks like, you know, leading into the park, except in this case it's leading further in. And that first sort of clearing is the place where, you know, tables are laid and food is out and all that sort of thing. Nobody immediately to hand. All Harry, after you called for them to come over, we have a problem. What did you do? It's you and Charlotte and Andy kind of there, but staying out of the way a bit because it's really not her business necessarily. Although she is kind of closely examining or peering at, Andy's sort of peering at the various statues. As you know, what are you two doing, Charlotte and Harry? What have you been doing while you're waiting for everybody else to show up? It's been hours. It's been like 4 minutes, but feels like hours.
I'm trying to continue to talk to um uh,
Maury, PowerPoint.
Mario or Pietro. I was going to suggest that one and Harry look around at the others and see how many others they can identify. Is it just this collection here, or is it all of them?
Well, I mean, what is all of them really?
But I mean, it might be obvious that some of them are not in modern.
Are there any of the statues that aren't our friends?
I
guess is what the research project is.
Why don't you who Charlotte, why don't you assess the situation then? Let's go with a superior roll and see what we can. I think that's probably most relevant.
Charlotte.
The
Open the character sheet, click superior.
It helps if I'm on the right page and have my character sheet open and
I'm trying to move the character sheet by clicking on the picture of it that's showing up in the recording software, so I'm not doing a lot better.
Oh, there, I like that. Okay.
Oh, let's get back over there. think. Oh, look at that. Lovely.
Wow, with a superior. Nice.
Yeah. It's a solid roll. Would have been a 10 anyway. Nice 11. All right. So, believe
Couldn't
that.
remember if superior was one of the ones I just dropped last session or not.
Who can say? Okay. So we're assessing the situation. I'm going to go. So on 10 plus ask 2, the first one I'm going to kind of parse through as who here is in the greatest danger, because that should give you a list of like who's under threat, right,
Okay.
from this happening to them. So you got Mari, you have most of the sort of the
Ponies?
immediately identifiable ponies. So Duskshine,
The named ponies?
no, yeah, Power Pony, uh, Mari is Heroes of Magic, Pietro,
Mess. No.
um,
Any of the irregulars?
that's what Andy's been kind of looking for. And the problem, she's kind of going by physical resemblance as much as she can, because they don't actually talk to her.
Right.
But she's like, I think, like, this might be telekinesion. It looks like the ones that go to the school. So that's sort of, I mean, that would be her, but she doesn't seem to be here, or at least she can't locate herself. Looks like telekinesion, not animal. There's no stone animal. There's no, doesn't look like alloy. Armiger doesn't seem to be here, at least as much as you can. And you can kind of ask them a little bit. They, and again, Mari's the one that's sort of doing most of the communicating, although there is the echoes and stuff. They're, the way she explains it is, the way it comes across is they're functionally blind. They can't really sense you. It's more like recognizing you, and it's been such a very long time that it's not immediately evident. They've been, hoping eventually.
It's sort of like my extending my power to them revealed them to me.
Sure,
I'm
yeah,
sure that.
and that kind of
Yeah.
helps with that.
Okay.
But for them, they're always kind of talking to somebody while they're in a dark room and the other person can see. So it's not easy for them to go, oh, hey, yeah, I know you, because they don't know necessarily who you are. And there's quite a few statues around here, but it's a lot of folks that you would recognize from school and not really other folks, and it's all seems to be kids. So, like kids from the school. So,
Even the ones scattered farther afield.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And those are one, like, sort of weirdly, the further out they are, the less you're like, oh yeah, I kind of know that kid. And the cluster in sort of towards the middle is just generally more recognizable. So you've got and I realize it's kind of an edge case. You got Pietro, you've got a couple other kids, Daff is not there, but oh god, what's Daphne's boyfriend's name?
Marion.
Marion is. He's got like where he is. There's a couple other guys that you're kind of sort of vaguely half aware of. Like, yeah, I know that kid, sort of. Alicia would, it's like, oh, those are the library guys, you know. So, but, and some of them are not super responsive. Like, they haven't reacted well to being trapped in stone for mumble 1,000 years. So they're really just echoing. But they all, I mean, just based on sort of size, height,
Right.
you realize, I mean, there aren't a lot that are really like that. There's sort of that undefinable. I don't know about undefinable. It's actually probably pretty definable. But there's a difference between a fit, strong, big senior in high school and that same person still big, strong, fit 6 years later, 7, 10, whatever years later.
So no teachers. It looks like it's all students.
Yeah. You just get that there's a sense of bulk that comes with, I mean, people don't necessarily, get taller after a certain age, but they do just get bigger, um, generally speaking. So yeah, I mean, there's just that sense that these are not adult statues, so to speak. And you can see, I mean, kind of looking at it now, you can kind of see recognizable stuff.
Okay.
So parenthetically, just because I'm curious, before it gets any further than that, as you guys are, Alicia, Summer, Adam, as you guys are kind of coming into that first clearing and trying to figure out, I mean, they said, I can't remember what was it, Harry, that you told them? There's something up with, did you say there was something wrong with the statues, or there's something up
No,
with
there
the
was no
Twilight
mention of
Grove?
the statues. Just there was something going on in the Grove, and Charlotte was there.
All right. So
So
you get to the
as far as
main,
we know, Charlotte's gone crazy or something.
you get
But
to the,
Thank you. Love you
well,
too.
statistically speaking, that's not, I mean, that's a safe bet.
Hey.
No, I'm just kidding. Um, so having got to that first clearing and not seeing them,
don't
what do you,
plan for what your crazy friends will do. Plan for what they could do.
okay, Batman. Um, having got to that first clearing, kind of where the food tables and so forth are at, what do you, and they're not there, what do you do? I'll ask Alicia.
Would,
So they called you, but they're not immediately,
Not at the front door.
they're not at the front door. They're not in that first, they're not in the kitchen, which is where the kitchen slash conversation nook is not, that's not where they're at. So,
I'll text Harry since texting works.
okay. While she's quickly whipping out her phone and tapping away, um, I'm, I just, what are the comfort foods that have manifested on the table as you guys come in? Adam, what's the comfort food on the table right now? With
Oh,
everything going,
jeez.
on, what's the comfort food that has shown up on the table for you?
Peanut butter cookies.
Peanut butter cookies.
Uh huh.
What about
And Adam is just gonna like go over there, look at him, like just sort of like, and just kind of look back at the concordance guys, be like, "This is our base.
who
It
makes
makes food.
peanut butter
Enjoy."
cookies?
His Mama Amari.
So this looks like mom's food. This looks like
Uh
mom's
huh.
recipe.
Has like a crisscross fork pattern on the top of it,
Sure.
and it's just yeah.
Yep. Um, what about you, Summer? Does anything show up for you? I know
It's always ice cream.
it's always ice cream. It's is it just
Which flavor?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. The flavor is probably
It's
the
always summer.
the main variable. What's the
Today's flavor.
It's Bernie Bott's every flavor ice cream.
Oh God. All right.
Hey, it's a magical glade. Like, why,
I can
don't be afraid to
have
dream a little bigger.
I can have what I want all the time. My wife has been binging the Great British Bake Off, and one of the challenges they had just recently was a week of stuff without like what you would think of as standard stuff in it. So there was three things they had to make, and the first one was uh, some sort of sweet cake with no sugar. Um, and then it was gluten-free pitas, and they hadn't made. These are British folks, so they hadn't made pitas, let alone gluten-free pitas. So that was a fiasco. And then the last round was dairy-free ice cream rolls. And half of them hadn't made ice cream, so so that was a bit of a anyway. There is also on the table like sesame seed studded like hard breadstick like bundle like a bowl full of, but like a tall bowl, and they're really long, they're like about a foot long, and they're studded with sesame seeds, and they're just like super super thin, so they just crack. But don't look, I mean, not super exciting.
Must be one of the
Yeah, just
our friends.
I mean, the stuff that stands out in terms of like I haven't seen that at the table before. There is
Gah.
some kind of like a stuffed, looks like a like kiwi with like the like the middle sort of cored out and stuffed with some kind of custard maybe or something like that. And Pocky. Like
Okay.
this, yeah, there's
Pocky?
like there's
Yeah.
like a whole tray of assorted Pocky flavors. Hundreds of them. Hundreds of sticks, not hundreds of flavors. Which and all of the Concords basically play it cool except for the blue one who's like, ooh, Pocky. The other two are like, it's not for me. I don't know what you. I'm cool, but no, not the blue one's like Pocky. So Harry, you're getting a text from Alicia. Where are you guys? Or something. What do you say, Alicia? What is the text message?
Where are you guys?
Uh, by the statues.
Oh, good.
That narrows it down.
Well,
Well,
I mean, statues plural. It is a pretty. I mean that part's.
Okay.
I mean that
The
there's
main group of
there is
okay.
there's a larger cluster. They're scattered sort of
Okay.
everywhere, but there's certainly a heavier constellation of them in a location. It isn't so very far that you don't figure you're getting in the right direction pretty quick.
Is Charlotte under control?
Ooh, interesting question.
I beg your pardon.
she's
Blame
not
him for
going
giving the bad
crazy. She's just upset. Don't have to come in guns blazing.
Please.
Anyway,
Alicia texts back. If she's upset, are you sure about that?
I don't know why it is that you think I'm so dangerous.
I've
Walk
been to the
now,
sepia
text
verse.
later.
Alicia.
I can imagine Alicia being on edge right now. I mean, we've got
My
these
fault.
dudes and they're in our base.
We've got those dudes are in the base. Adam is, not at his most secure. Ghost
I know,
Girl.
you're asking about me?
Ghost Girl exists. Yeah, there's lots of reasons for her.
All I know is I got a message saying there's trouble at the Twilight Grove. Charlotte is here.
Now, to be fair,
Draw your own conclusions.
that I didn't think about how that would be parsed, but yeah, he makes a good point. That isn't the most reassuring way that could have been written. Trouble at the Glade. Charlotte is here. Sounds like Charlotte is the no.
Fine.
If it so Charlotte is. Are you speaking or mostly listening and nodding along with the statues when or with Maury when they get there, Charlotte? How's that? I mean, are you querying?
Um,
Because there's more. Maury's able to piece together sort of the general stuff, but I was just at a meta level, kind of putting it off until everybody kind of got here a little bit.
so she'll be kneeling before the statue with her hand on the knee, looking into her face,
Hmm.
and you can have it either as, I'm saying something or Maury's saying something to me. It doesn't really matter to me. I mean, I'm talking with her, trying to, besides, being terribly guilt-ridden, trying to
Yeah.
know what they know.
So
Because I believe that was the question that I had from the last one is, I need to put together the pieces or something like that.
right.
What do I want?
Right. Right. And I'll say I don't think Alicia's really interacted with these folks that much. Uh,
The ponies.
the ponies, not that much. She would in some cases probably put
I've
together.
been pony adjacent.
Yeah. Summer on the other hand, something about
She's the adjacent.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. She's the pony vector. Something about Charlotte's position, stance, pose, whatever, and how she's sort of positioned herself relative to Maury, the sitting statue and stuff. It really just almost instantly clicks into place. Like you go, oh my god, it looks like that looks like a girl in a wheelchair, and then you're like, oh crap, that's a girl in a wheelchair. That's oh crap. Like it kind of just clicks into place with that context. Um, and the fact that there's one of the statues sort of standing and ever so slightly behind-ish or near that sitting
The
figure.
fantastic scowl on his face.
No, that's not the one that she then immediately more recognized, because there's a statue that's sort of in this sort of like pose of slight tilt to the head, curve to the body, that's somehow self-effacing and shy at the same time, but still smiling and sort of half brush, the sort of habitual brushing of the hair behind the ear, tucking of the hair behind the ear thing is like, and that's no. And you start, so you're quickly putting together why the bat signal went up, or at least the initial portion of it, which is that you know these are at least representative of your friends, if not your actual friends, which you're pretty sure they're not because you've talked to them within the last minute or two. So, um, just giving you that context, I think it would probably click with you faster than with anybody.
Well, I'm going to go ask Charlotte what she thinks is going on then.
And as you get closer, you can sort of hear the conversation, because it's not mind to mind, or if it is, it's sort of a localized broadcast. It's low, short distance radio broadcasts, kind of telepathy, if it's telepathy, the kind that they would use for drive-in theaters or something like that. Once you get close enough, you can kind of pick it up. So for all this, because just keep in mind, while these conversations are happening, you're getting, they're all continuing that sort of keyword echo kind of thing that are going through a lot of this, many of them can't seem to stop it, or they just, you know, sort of focal points that they tend to uh, rely on for all of this. So uh, Mari is kind of, it's not that we don't recall, it's we really have a perfect memory, which is why we've been used in the past for um, research, I suppose, which is ironic considering how we've sort of found our place now. We all do. It's sort of a function of our form, or an effect. Uh, as I said, they were trapped in this at your prom? And she kind of has a little bit of a question there. And some of them echo the word prom, but most of them come back and say graduation. Well, okay, fine. I'm not actually a high schooler anymore. It was some event thing we were there for. It's been a while. Uh, and we were all gathered together for the post party. Uh, I don't, I don't know why this happened, what caused it specifically. I don't think we were under attack. No one was scared at the time. We were just together, and we were wondering where, well, you were and some others. And then this happened. And we don't know what happened immediately after this happened, because as soon as it did, we were moved uh, away, like it, well, back in time, as near as I can tell. And we've been here, and someone found us a few years later and decided that we were some sort of mystic oracles from the gods, and it was either that or get rendered down for building materials, so we went with it and have been doing that ever since. We know a lot because we remember everything, and we've been around for a really long time, but we've always just kind of hoped that eventually we would get, well, it's time travel the slow way. Luckily, we don't have to worry about the elements really in here, so we're not aging too terribly. And we've just been waiting. And now I guess we're here, and we must be pretty close to when this all happened in the first place, which would make me a lot older than I ever wanted to have to think about. So that's kind of, I mean, you guys kind of catch that, along with the, you know, uh, without the, say Greek chorus, the sort of the echoing repetition from various statues and stuff at important and or disturbing words like rendered and lost and time and
Eight.
that sort of thing.
Well, so I just lean forward and give her a really big hug, and say, oh, my brave friends, we're gonna figure this out. We gotta prevent this from happening.
Can you? I mean,
I have
I'm
no
not
idea.
much of a scientist, but there seems like there's some sort of, I mean, that seems like it may be a problem. I've watched a lot of movies where fixing stuff that already happened is a problem. So,
It
yay,
hasn't
but
happened.
well, it hasn't happened to you.
Hasn't happened yet. Prom yet. It's not graduation. It's I rattle off the date.
Yeah, it hasn't happened to you. I hate to break it to you, but it's happened to us. I mean, really has been happening to us for a long time. I know you're old, sweetie, but you have got nothing on me and my friends right now.
Need to
So
figure this
I don't
out.
want to be a downer. I don't want to be, I mean, if you think you can fix it, then, I mean, I've seen you all do amazing things. Are your other friends here now? Is everyone?
So I look around because I've been focusing just on her.
So when you look around,
Uh,
go ahead.
I was gonna say it's Concord in front of the other three, and it's just like that nervous way. It's like, I brought friends.
Hi. Hi.
So I will, to be polite, say in a loud voice, Harry's here with A10 and she would know them as Summer, right?
Yeah. No. Well,
Because
clarify
they're all
that
from the
for me.
high school. They would know her as Summer.
Yeah. Well, the ponies, I think, know her also as. I mean, she's in Radiance mode right now, and except for No, I think they pretty much. I mean, if they in
I'm
most
thinking like Pietro and the other
right, but she, like I said
non-power.
again, she's in Radiance mode right now,
Okay.
and there's only a
Well,
few
they
of
can't
them.
see, so it doesn't really
Yeah,
matter.
right.
But anyway.
But yeah, for I think Nono's like the only one of the ponies who knows that Summer is Radiance.
Okay.
So that's the
So,
only one she
Is
told, but the others might know
yeah,
in their connection to Reason's
yeah,
organization.
whether or not they've whether or
they're
not
high security
well
organization.
well no, it's just the ponies are sort of running the logistics side of the Quill Kids, kind of like the support network and stuff like that. And some of
Oh,
that
I
is
know that. I
yeah,
was just
and some of that's
so
Summer. So
in costume. And Alicia, are you in costume?
yeah,
Yes.
Okay, so then I would introduce them as Charade and Radiance and
Concord,
Adam. Are you
Concord.
Concord? And
Yep.
what would I call them?
I mean,
The other Concords.
The Concordance boys, red, blue, and
green.
I don't know their names.
I'm
Yeah,
not sure they're all boys either. So
yeah,
But
that's
Charlotte would just,
true.
yeah. They're they're something. They're definitely something. Um,
the Concordance uh, kids.
yeah, the green one
Red,
raises a
green.
hand without really waving. The blue one sort of waggles a couple of pocky sticks in your direction, and the red one scowls.
Of course he does.
I scowl back. Damn it.
And then, for those that haven't figured it out yet, because I don't know if Summer said anything out loud, I would say, introduce her as Mari or by her
Maury.
handle.
Either
Okay.
way, either way, I think everybody's.
So I would say, this is Maury, here from the beginning of the Grove.
Which is something everybody else calls it. We weren't in the Grove when all this happened. Like, that wasn't. I mean, I know that you
Oh.
guys have had the Grove, and I know that we're here in the Grove, and I know that we probably, I guess, must have been here, but I don't remember being in the Grove when all of this happened and this place was sort of brought in around us. So I don't know. I don't know exactly how all that happened. There's a lot that there's a lot that happened when we first were made into what we were.
So they got kidnapped at graduation. I'm going to phrase it that way. They
Sure.
got kidnapped at graduation, and they've been in the Grove for thousands of years. How's that?
As much as that can be sorted out, yeah, for sure.
We're going to figure out how to make this right.
And what you know about the Grove historically legend, through legend and myth and history and whatnot, is that it was, what the official story is that this thing was made as, sort of a byblow of some, several cosmic people, having
Wait, you
a
mean like, you know, Dr.
Like
Infinity and
having a
Everard?
like Charlotte then?
yeah having
Yeah,
yeah, exactly, having a knockdown drag out, and this thing was sort of like created as a byblow of that, um, which of course puts, obviously there's some time travel aspects in here, because if they've been this way for a long time, then they've traveled through time. The
When I see Everard, I'm gonna wring his scrawny neck and possess him for the rest of his life,
the
such as it is.
So that kind of answers the, what here is in the greatest danger. And I'm going to, if it's all right with you, I'm going to choose to answer one of the other questions here. Sort of what here is the biggest threat. Uh,
Sure.
it's been, I mean,
There's one isn't one of the questions something about a solution?
if you want to go, well, yeah. What here can I use to blank? How could we best end this quickly? Uh, and it, and the benefit there is that, it's take one while answering on the answer. So you might have a pretty good, wringing Everard's scrawny neck certainly gets you within the zip code of how do I end this quickly, um, one way or the other. Uh, but that doesn't mean that asking a question with an answer that you can kind of predict is a bad thing, because it gives you sort of a +1/4 to act on those answers. Um, So, yeah, I mean, you could certainly go that route as well.
What do you guys think? Because the other one is
Well,
the danger.
Like, see, sort of like, which way do you want to slice this second question that she's got here from an assess?
well, I may have your answer to the second one.
What here is the
For
biggest threat? Is that the one
No.
you were going for?
no, for what to end this quickly.
But again, +1 forward, not to act on the answer just because of. Um, so we can assume, I think, maybe that Charlotte's doing a little bit of thinking out loud about this. And I mean, the comment about Everard's scrawny neck, is that something that she is upset enough to say out loud? Albeit not being terribly ladylike, I'll make allowances for.
I think that you're gonna not hear her most frail side here.
That seems
It's gonna be
about.
the unfrail Charlotte.
So
Kind of
yeah.
under her breath. When I see that Everard, I
So
haunt him for the rest of his sorry life.
Adam, you can certainly, I mean, take that as um, input on that. I mean, the thought that occurs to you, Charlotte, which is not the most. I mean, we've gone over this. This is fairly well trod ground. Like, your creation has been something that's been out there, and you've certainly seen the conspiracy theories about it and the trackers, and like, this is where the fights have happened, this is where this, and part of that's been researching the wounds, where they appeared, the fact that they kind of bounce around. This happened 5 years ago. This happened 3 months ago. Blah 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 blah. It's never really, and when you say it out loud, well, yeah, sure, of course. And you've seen Everard. The last time you saw him, no, 2 times ago when you saw him, he was definitely looking the worse for wear, because like half of his
He
body
was in the process of
yeah,
dying, but
half
wasn't
of
there
his
yet.
half of his body was
That's
missing.
what.
He's been in he's but it occurs to you, perhaps for the first time, that fight may still be going on in their timeline.
I kind of actually had that assumption.
Yeah, I mean, you're obviously living in largely. I mean, to be fair, not that linear, because you guys have been doing your own stuff. But I don't know if any of you guys are watching The Good Place, but they do a wibbly wobbly, timey wimey explanation of time on in that show that I find terribly charming because they explain that time is Jeremy Bearimy, and they're like, what? No, it's Jeremy Bearimy. Your time looks like this, and it draws like a point and another point and draws a line between it. Time for us is Jeremy Bearimy, and he does this big sort of childish cursive drawing. It's we've mapped it out. We know what time looks like, what the entire flow from beginning to end basically looks like. And when you map it out, it happens to look like a cursive version of Jeremy Bearimy in English. So we just call it Jeremy Bearimy, and that's time for us. Like, and the first question is, what's the dot above the I? And one of them goes, oh, that's my birthday. Anyway. So yeah, time is sort of their fight is sort of, yeah. But the fact that that battle that created you and is doing us other damage is potentially still happening when you've also had conversations with Everard that have clearly happened after that, and it's definitely in his past at the time that you talk to him, is just one of those fun things about dealing with the, Supreme Magus and Dr. Infinity.
And Dr. Affinity for being Dr. Infinity.
I mean, there's nothing saying that the meeting that you had with Dr. Infinity 35 years in an alternate universe's future isn't what caused it all.
Right.
Or
How
precipitated
lovely.
it.
You're so optimistic.
I mean, I don't have to be optimistic.
Is this for Charlotte? Or is this where Alicia doesn't mention that that she put Dr. Infinity on Charlotte's trail?
I mean, it'd be difficult, but I mean, it makes perfect sense for Dr. Infinity to not be able to figure out who Charlotte is if in Dr. Infinity's timeline she doesn't exist yet. Personal timeline. But if she's, I mean, if they aren't in any timeline, who the hell knows? This is all just brain teasing, blah, blah, blah. But Adam, back to your original point is she's sitting there grumbling, say, we're going to fix this. And like, when I get my hands on the scrawny neck of that so-and-so, what do you do?
It's just like, he looks over the Concordance guys. He looks over Charlotte. It's just like, team huddle. Sees Andy, family huddle.
Oh. So what does that mean? Does that mean that you're including her or not including her?
Yeah, including.
Oh, so team huddle, and he sees Andy and says, okay, family huddle. Now, does that then include the Concords?
That depends on how they take that.
They do not take it as they're included in that because they are neither team nor family as far as they are concerned.
Good.
Green might like it a different way. But red,
I imagine
if nothing else,
just like
Red is right out.
I imagine there's this one panel of Green like starting to walk forward and Red just grabbing him by the shoulder and like, no,
that ain't us. And they're not going to argue with him because Red is truth. That's why Red is a dick. Unfortunately, the kid who got that power is essentially Damian Wayne with a cosmic lie detector built into his head, which is just as horrible as it sounds.
Yep.
Anyway. All right, so team family huddle. And actually, Andy's kind of like, she looks touched by that. She looks kind of, she appreciates that, certainly. Anyway, so, right, you call up the huddle. What do you do?
And that's when Adam basically starts explaining. It's like, so these guys have told me that I can't keep this plop anymore.
You
And we
just kind
kind
of
of
pop
know.
that thing in and out of your chest all the time, don't you? It's just this thing that happens
Disturbing.
a little bit.
Well, I kind of see it more of like it's not in his hand and then it is.
Oh, I see. All right. So can't
So-
keep this around anymore. Bloop.
And this is going to cause all sorts of problems because I didn't tell you this, but when we had the fight in space with Dr. Infinity stuff, what powers her stuff and this are the same thing. And that makes no sense, but it did.
It really doesn't. Because something there is amiss, and it's this was sort of your insight into it in the moment. Something intrinsically tied to Doctor Infinity's mojo is this, or the Earth Keynomes, which makes fundamentally zero sense, because the Keynomes are all about establishing, rewriting sometimes, but establishing and reinforcing what reality is and how powerful reality is. It is a physical, an anchor of the physical plane kind of thing, which is not what Doctor Infinity is. It's a time. They are a time and space being, and it's not that they. It's like, you know, I have got the most advanced electric car in the world, and somebody walks up and says, "I have a present for you. I've got 45,000 gallons of diesel," and you go, "That's nice," because what the hell could you possibly do with it? And
Well,
I have
Alicia's
an idea on that.
Alicia's speculation was that power has to be kind of, there needs to be a foundation for it somewhere. So a tower up in the sky still needs a
Sure.
foundation built into the ground.
It's
so
generally
doesn't strike her as weird.
Right. It's just,
Ironic, maybe.
Well, I'm thinking if the kingdoms are an anchor, and what they were trying to do with the holes in reality was to collapse the multiple realities. It seems that relationship.
Oh, and certainly some of what was going on with the family, with the hidden family, as well as Viratovia, had to do with them absconding with some of Earth's keynomes, and scarpering off back home.
I thought that the holes in reality were designed to collapse reality.
Yes, those two things are not necessarily. They don't necessarily have anything to do with one another, because they were not, I wouldn't say necessarily, they were not plots from the same people.
Right.
Okay. So you've got wounds that are, for all intents and purposes, knocking pillars out of the structure of reality so that two floors in the same building kind of collapse into one another. Okay. That's the wounds. But in the meantime, those holes are there, and you've got one floor of the building that's kind of terrible, and they look up to this other floor and go, "Hey, you guys are awesome. We're going to come up and steal some of your stuff." Now, there's certainly been evidence that Dr. Infinity has encouraged that activity, but it may have simply been because all the crawling up and down through the hole is going to destabilize the structure that much faster, and not have anything else to do with it. They may not at all be sanguine about collapsing the reality any more than you are, but that doesn't stop them from the fact that they want some of your stuff. And to be fair, you look at the CP reverse, they sort of need it, or at least it's one solution to the problem. How much of it they need is sort of neither here nor there.
Okay.
So that, I mean, don't think of everything that the Vuratobians have done and the family has done, even though there's some evidence that Infinity was sort of like egging them along or nudging them in certain directions or facilitating that, was actually part of Infinity's plan, or that Infinity's plan was even on their radar. Doesn't necessarily have anything to do with one another. You can't imagine that the Dread Queen would be actually on board with that, because a lot of it, I mean, 2 floors collapsing together is
No,
not going
no,
to be.
no, no. I
Yeah,
thought it was more of a, Infinity pulling the strings.
right. And mostly for the destabilizing effect of having them, clambering up and back and forth between the two things and doing more stuff. You want more stuff being done with those wounds because then, don't poke the wound, right? It makes it worse. And they're poking it repeatedly and marching people back and forth. Now, there is a okay, so where were you going with that, Adam? So this is all kind of like we kind of went meta discussion there for a second, but so you're pulling this out and saying this is connected to Dr. Infinity.
I want to drop something in
Oh
real
sure,
briefly
no,
as
but
well.
do please.
Radiance will tell Adam, I think I have an X factor I can introduce to whatever solution you come up with as well. And she holds up her phone where she's got a conference call with Leo, who, when last we saw him, was off to research time, space, and dimensional science. And when we fought Dr. Infinity's drones coming back, we salvaged an item off of one of them.
Yeah.
She gave that to him. So that gadget has been sitting around for a long time, and that will come into play.
Getting poked at, prodded.
Yeah. And if A10 looks curious, she'll be like, "He's my ex." That's what.
I love how it sums up how that's summed up. That's it's complicated. It's complicated.
But yeah, if he's got anything to add to this based on that, then feel.
Yeah. And he certainly could. I'm not gonna. I'll have to figure that out. What he brings to it, what we need him to bring to it, to a certain extent.
Yeah, but for now, let's go back to Adam.
Yeah,
so.
but no, that's good. I mean, the fact that you've got a hyper genius who's been picking at Dr. Infinity's stuff for the better part of a month, that's not nothing. That's certainly. Well, why didn't you list that amongst our assets? Now, if you only had a wheelbarrow, that would be something. Mari actually, and the activity amongst the statues went up sort of a decibel, not 10 decibels, but just a little bit. The sort of sorceress bit went up a bit when the Kenome came out. And Mari says, well, the fact that that other world is trying to acquire those Kenomes only makes sense because they were stolen from them in the first place. I mean, quite a while ago, but one doesn't really forget that sort of thing. Or I suppose they probably did, but I mean.
Is that why? I just assumed it was because they'd used up the power of the Kenomes.
Oh, they used up what they. Well, okay. Some of this I'm getting. You have to understand we're getting third hand or second hand. But we've interfaced on several occasions with the mages, the current mages at the time, not the mages that you're currently swearing about, Charlotte. And good job. I didn't know you had that kind of. You go. But we've interacted with magi in the past, and the first one wasn't any great shakes. The first 1,000 weren't really. We've been dealing with minor magi for quite a while. I mean, really since the beginning. It's one of the first ones who found the Twilight Grove. And that, because they scramble, these sorts of people scramble for power. About 100 years ago, give or take, one of them figured out, I mean, the keynomes are certainly powerful, and they've often been used and misused in the past, but there's a finite number of them, or there should be, within reach at any given time.
We lost you there.
We lost
What was the
about
last thing you
30
heard?
seconds there.
Okay.
They scramble for power.
They scramble for
scramble
power,
for power.
and certainly keynomes are a source of great power, but there's a finite number of them. There's a certain number of them that can be had, and one of these little petty magi figured out how to get one from someplace else. And once they had that, they figured out how to get more of them from someplace else. And they became the mages. The mages. Capital V. That was the first one. That was pretty close to 100 years ago. And given what you're saying, my guess is that probably they borrowed them, stole them from. And that's like a response to her other statues, borrowed them, and a couple of them were like stole them from one of these other worlds, possibly all from the same world, but certainly, I mean, there are a lot more keynomes here on Earth than there used to be. And the red Concord is like, you see, we told you, there's too many here. Not that we were eavesdropping, but we were eavesdropping. I'm actually a terrible liar.
I was gonna say you.
So the conversation is like, we told you, and the green one's like, not that we were eavesdropping, and the red one's like, like snorts in annoyance. Like, how would we possibly have heard that conversation otherwise? Anyway, so I'm not saying they all have to go back. I'm just saying that's the history, and you should have all the information because that's sort of our job, or at least our calling. I still don't see how it connects to Dr. Infinity. We don't really have any interaction with them.
Then you probably don't know why it might have something to do with them, would you?
No. I mean,
you're kind of just talking out your ass here.
To be fair, we haven't had this is Mari talking.
I'm sorry, I thought it was the
Yeah, I figured.
I wouldn't be snarky to Mari.
Yeah, it still doesn't really explain why it seems to be connected with Dr. Infinity. Dr. Infinity's never been here as far as we know. And I only know as much as we knew about them. I mean, really since, the last 100 years or so. Somehow we were relocated. Well, the Twilight Grove was sort of connected here. This would have been within the last 100 years or so. So, and obviously the city comes under Dr. Infinity's attention quite regularly. Really, ever since that happened with the stones and the mages.
So you're saying that you're hypothesizing that Infinity is here because the mages is here and the stones are here because the mages is here.
No,
And Dr. Infinity's responding to
Dr. Infinity is
an
always
unnatural number of keynomes, perhaps.
Dr. Infinity has always had a problem with Halcyon since it became the center of all superheroic activity because it tends to destabilize time and space. That's always been their thing. And honestly, certainly culturally speaking, Earthlings do not have a problem with the concept of a superior being policing time and space. It's been quite popular in the BBC, but Dr. Infinity has a bit more of a bloodthirsty way of enforcing that kind of stuff that's made them not popular and also somebody to be avoided. But all of that tends to be like superheroes came to Halcyon City. There's a lot of them. It destabilize, their activities tend to be kind of wonky time wise, and that leads to destabilization, and that attracts Dr. Infinity's ire. That all kind of started happening about 100 years ago,
So
give or take.
there's a connection or a correlation between this influx of keynomes and the superhero community.
I mean, from a just straight history timeline and math aspect, yeah, I mean, if Mari's right and the whole thing with the Magus happened about when it happened, that's pretty closely connected, give or take a decade, with the advent of the gold generation.
The advent of what?
With the creation of with the appearance of the gold generation.
The gold generation of heroes.
Yeah, the gold
Okay. I was
era.
like,
The gold era of
I don't remember anything about making gold.
No, the first big sort of influx
no, I get it now.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, I mean you go back 100 years, you're back in the just before World War 1, right? Ish. Right around the beginning of World War 1, and it was right around there or shortly thereafter that you started to see the first heroes. And they get progressively more powerful as time goes, they tend to be amp up or attract attention from someplace else. Certainly there's super beings from other places, super powered people from other places, but the activity on Earth tends to date from about that point, give or take. It's a hell of a coincidence if it doesn't have anything to do with it. Not that that necessarily has anything to do with anything right now, but it's like, it is kind of a, kind of connection.
I can see a correlation between the concentration of the power of the keynomes and the
Well, you get greedy, magi, grabs a bunch of these things, super saturates this particular dimension or plane or planet or whatever with that kind of chemonomic energy. That's going to leak. That's going to, super saturate's kind of like on the tin, right? Some of that's going to precipitate out. Certainly, as powerful as the Magus is, they aren't the only like really, really powerful being out there. And you don't know how much of that's really true, except Charlotte, you've talked to Everard in the past. The stone on top of their staff looks a hell of a lot like the thing that Adam's holding in his hand.
Not surprised there. Call me not surprised.
Yeah.
I turned to the Rainbow Coalition and ask how many stones are on this
12.
Earth dimension?
Currently 12.
How many should be?
Well, should is
How many do you? What is your
really
estimated volume of keynomes that you would expect?
the blue one says given the no wait, which one? Adam, straighten me out here. What's blue? Compassion?
Yeah,
Yeah,
compassion.
compassion, because that's the laser beams, right?
Mhm.
It's green.
This is courage? No, courage. Is that
Green's courage.
Green's courage?
Or courage and
That's why he has the courage to be nice to us.
There's more. That green is the most sort of like
Human.
not ironically, because they're the ones that are sort of like the defender, the tank kind of thing. They're the ones that are least defensive, because they're less unsure of the situation. So the blue one's like, given the high level of supernatural, paranormal activity and stuff, it wouldn't be surprising to find a half dozen, as many as 9. 12 is, a half dozen, and the red one's like 9, possibly 8. Depends on how they're being used, whether or not they're passive. And blue one kinds of 6 would be normal, or 3. 3 would be normal, mundane. 6 would be typical. 9 would be remarkable. 12 is cosmically unprecedented. Blue kind of like shrugs, like, that isn't how I'd put it, but he's not wrong. Kind of body language.
Hey, Dave, I'd love to question for you in the Roll20 chat.
See all these things here. Yeah, that's a good question.
That is a good question. It was probably more, tchotchkes and bits of interesting tech tucked into pockets and stuff like that than
Data as such.
data dumps.
Okay.
At least that had not been my intent at the time. Even assuming that any sort of reasonable download item was compatible with anything back in our time.
Yeah.
I'd be going a little bit too far.
I brought my 64 gigabyte USB key. Okay, well that pulls down the
Tuesday.
half of one of the libraries.
Yeah, and so the statues don't know anything about that future, really any alternate future, because for them, they stopped. I mean, their farthest forward point in time is about 3 months from now. Not even 3 months from now. 2 months from now, and then they went back. So they're useful as being able to infer stuff, but they don't really know about things from the future.
Well, I mean, 3 months from now is still good enough for what I was hoping for.
Which is what?
Maury, in particular, being somebody who tracks the activities of superheroes or superhumans in general, might know if she remembers at all after all this time. We know that there are sites that are tracking like this ongoing fight between the Magus and Doctor Infinity. Do we have any data points from our future about when the next one is?
Ooh.
The next discovery.
Ooh. That is an exciting question.
But it wouldn't necessarily be next. It would simply it would be
next to you
next
guys.
As far as the timeline is going.
Something we can anticipate and get to.
The next discovery.
That is
basically we kind of turn events in Jeremy Bearimy.
Yeah, I mean, you need to figure out when the next loop of Jeremy Bearimy intersects with your straight line, and does one of them happen within the next uh,
3 months.
3 months? I mean, long it has to have happened before they go backwards, and also uh, like early enough before that for the knowledge to have percolated out into the conspiracy networks, and made it out to what passes for, I say the normals, but Mari doesn't really necessarily count as the normals, but she's not in the conspiracy. She's not in the, you know, she's not a stalker fan of the Doctor Infinity Mages fights either. But she, I mean, at this point in time, it's really just that's work related research. Keeping track of that kind of crap, especially given the interactions that some of her people that she's responsible for now have had with Doctor Infinity. Um, so on and so
Else.
forth. So yeah, that is a fantastically terrible and fantastically good idea. No, that's really, really good. I love it. Um, yes. Um, actually, and we can. But yeah, they absolutely have a time and place uh, where those two show up and throw down in the very near future. And also, I mean, if she could shrug, she'd shrug. But there's vocal shrug there. It's like, it seems like they must have shown up sometime around when we went backwards, but that's probably not super helpful to you right now.
It might be.
Might be
Well,
related.
not right now, but
Yeah, not right.
Yeah.
Yeah, not at the moment. Um. So yeah, I mean, so what we let us review our assets, and they are not a wheelbarrow and a Holocaust cloak. You've got Leo, who's been digging through uh, um, Infinity Tech and trying to parse that out and figure out some of that stuff. You've got some stuff that Alicia scavenged that may or may not be immediately valuable. Adam definitely got a read when he interacted with the, how should I put this? When he interacted with the Dr. Infinity bots, when he was stopping the ship and they showed up, his read on that was they were using not only Keynome power, but his Keynome. Like there was a resonance reaction there that informed that assessment of the situation. Your GM is internally high-fiving himself because he just figured out why. Uh, um, you guys pretend that I'm laying out the road even more than a few bricks ahead of where we're at, right? Most of the time. Let me quickly.
Pulling up the stray road from the
Yeah,
path
from the
5
path
steps
behind
back.
to yeah. Let me quickly dissuade you of that notion. Anyway,
Pay attention to the man behind the curtain.
and Summer's idea here being, and is this? I want to know. I mean, this is obviously it's Bill's idea. I get that, but is it Summer's idea, or was that part of the text message conversation with Leo, or was that Summer going, well, if you've been here, don't they come through? I mean, where did that come from?
I like to think that it's a group effort. Um, her her go-to solution is always going to be, let's talk to whoever's causing trouble and work it out by talking.
Right,
And that logically leads to, well, when and where can we meet them to talk? And that logically leads to where they're going to be next. And
right,
that logically leads to, hey, there's probably this ongoing time-space fight going on.
right. Yeah. The fact that it's still going is, I don't know. Show of hands, I mean, from the characters, I guess, who finds that unnerving? Like the fact that this thing is this isn't something that happened 2 years ago and created Charlotte and some other stuff and the wounds. It's like,
I think Summer's quite okay with it. Like her conception of like a time space fight like this isn't that different from like the probability cloud of an electron in an atom. Like it's probably going to be okay over here, it's probably going to be over there, and it's just going to bounce around, and there's not going to be a lot of certainty. But the idea that it would travel through time and space makes sense given the people involved.
yeah.
I
Well,
was gonna
and
say that's not a surprise to me since I've obviously looked into it already.
well, yeah. I
It's
mean,
time and space, so Alicia is cool with it. So
well,
We,
yeah,
we went to the future to go get into a fight.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
this is only weird adjacent now.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's mostly the sort of assumption is like, well, it's got to be done because it happened and it did this stuff, and
So is the Rainbow Coalition weirded out by this at all? Because we're all sort of like,
They're more
okay,
in-
that makes
oh,
sense.
time and space, yeah, battle.
they're really. I mean, they're they try very hard not to interact with that stuff, and also they don't mess with keynomes because there's reasons there for that as well. They don't. Red's frown just keeps scowl. I say frown. Scowl just seems to be getting deeper because I mean this is a brilliant idea, but at the same time it's also sort of manipulating future knowledge to have additional effects on the timeline, and there's so much verboten in that plan from the Concord's point of view that they can't like find it a good idea, even if they wanted to.
I'm gonna have to call for a
But it's to
dictionary
put a
here.
stop with the future, with the time shenanigans. So is it really,
Do they care enough about it to like throw down and say no, you can't, and we're going to fight you to stop you from doing this? No. Do they find it good? No. You want a
I
dictionary?
don't think they have a better answer to the question, which is what you want us to let this thing continue?
No, they don't. That's why. Why do you think he's scowling? He's truth.
I know I know.
He knows
He's
that this
also a
is like
dick.
the thing to do. Yeah, he knows this is the thing to do, but he also knows it's just bad. You said you wanted a dictionary for what? Verboten?
Yeah,
It's German for basically forbidden. Like
that seems like an easier word to use.
it's got more connotations. It's half forbidden and half sort of
Nazi forbidden.
It's like forbidden plus taboo. There's a reason.
Yeah,
it's
there you
forbidden.
go. Thank you. Taboo was the word I was looking for. It's not just. It's like there's rules against this, but it's also kind of like bad luck.
It's forbidden and it's wrapped up in barbed wire and iron gates
and superstition and stuff. And that actually the idea that it's from the the time manipulation thing, but the idea of there's certainly good logical, let's call it scientific reasons why mixing your concordance peanut butter with your Kenome chocolate is a bad idea. But as much as any of that may or may not be true, the gut reaction that most concordance agents would have is we don't do that. It's just bad. And it's much more of a this is taboo rather than let's go into the science of it and calmly explain why. It's just bad. It's bad juju. Don't do it.
Has Summer figured out that the red is the truth teller?
You know what? Pierce the mask. I think that's maybe.
Oh, don't throw me that bar.
Look at that. Look at that. +3, huh? Look at you. Pierce the masks. I'm just gonna kind of go. You got a 10, so you got 3. I'm gonna burn one. Kind of on.
I think we know what they want me to do, which is don't do this.
Yeah. You're getting, well, I think Adams explained bits and pieces enough to Leo and certainly to the Newmans enough that the shared I'm going to say Newman tribal knowledge with regards to how Adam is sort of works. The concordance kind of works for Adam is pretty much understood, at least conceptually. Then you look at these guys, and it's Adam basically split out into three. Simplified, but also multiplied, some greater than the parts, blah, blah, blah. From that, you can start to map stuff out. And I'm almost positive at some point in time, Adam explained to Leo early days, like what the colors were what colors were what.
Issue 7, in fact, in the
Yeah.
car conversation.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah. So he kind of went through and kind of mapped out what the various things were at. And compassion is weird because it's supposed to be what I use to attack, and I can't make that work in my head, so it's not working for me. And blah blah blah. So based off of that, you can kind of the green's subtle, but the way that blue keeps trying to soften the blows of various conversational gambits, and red is immediately seeing the facts of a situation and is not sugarcoating things. It's definitely a pure concentrate version of this stuff. So yeah, you probably map that out. I would say certainly with Elvin, you certainly map that out.
Well, I
it
have
still
one
leaves you
question
with
then, which is,
it still leaves you with a couple to ask. So
how can I get influence over you? And she'll find that out by asking him, tell me truthfully, what would it take to get you to trust us?
ooh. You're making me work for my cookie tonight, Bill. These are good questions. Those are good questions.
Well, it's the classic of which tour should I take?
Actually, I guess that's really how can I get your character too, but like there's some how do I gain influence over you?
I think
implied
influence.
if we
Yeah,
do it.
absolutely. Trust you and gain influence over you is certainly a thing. Honestly, I think I'm gonna let this answer stand for both of those questions. Getting the concordance to trust you. I mean, I'm going to use putting the balance of this place, fixing the balance of this place, the ripples from the way things are right now are it's truth. Okay, so the ripples from what's happening here are spreading. They're bad enough and they're multiplying enough that by the time they get out, they won't be weaker, they'll be stronger. If they get to the point in physical space where they can be noticed by the larger concordance, actions will be taken that benefit no one here. And the implication on Earth, we are concordance agents, but we are also from here. This is our home, and we don't want that to happen. So if you can fix this so that the imbalance can correct that. Because I mean, there's a lot to them, but they are simple, not just in the fact that they've been sort of broken out into the component colors. That helps them in a way that Adam didn't have to. And actually, Truth can say this too. We were activated in the way that we were as a defensive mechanism. Agent Amari had a fully realized concordance. What's the word I'm looking for?
Shard.
Shard, but a fully realized concordance shard in its total amalgamation, and it was unable to fully express itself in this environment by simplifying each shard, spreading it into purer, more concentrate forms, we're able to resist the interference from this world. We are able to do that. And that makes us able to function, and based on things Agent Amaria said, hear the concordance more clearly sooner. But our application of the concordance is also, and the blue one says, simpler, less nuanced. And the green one says, and also we're kind of new to this on the human side of things. So some of our approaches are simpler. Our shards keep screaming that if we don't fix this, the world's going to be fixed for us in ways that none of us are going to like. And we're, yeah, anything you guys can do that to fix that would be, that would mean a lot.
Well, it sounds like that's why you're going to lend us your power and wisdom to keep things under control.
I mean, do you trust us enough to help?
That's why I wanted you here. That's why I asked you to come along. And I think Adam wants you along here as well. And she's going to look over at Adam like, am I talking shit? But, yeah.
I mean, I did. Yeah. I don't know your shard, but mine was really trying to make this whole thing a better place. So, like, hopefully that's what yours is trying to do too, because it sounds like
the red's kind of like, better place we worry about tomorrow, not getting melted down to slag by an armada that's today.
I consider those the same thing, but okay.
He snorts because that's his default move.
Wonderful. So if you folks need anything or have any problems, please go ahead and just talk to our team lead, and she'll point at Alicia.
What is Alicia's reaction to that? I just have to know. Dave, you may be muted.
Mute, dear.
She stares at Summer for a moment. If her mouth opens and closes, it's not clear underneath her half.
Chewing nicotine gum. No.
Right. Stuffing into her mouth. Yes, that's right. I would be happy to assist in any way that will secure your cooperation.
I thought you were going to say use the word liaison or something equally.
That's Jason.
The green one kind of looks at the red one, and red's kind of like tactician.
You know, like the Batman Beyond suit has this thing where like batarangs will pop out of his wrist.
Yeah.
I think Charade's suit has a thing where stress balls pop out of her wrist.
Squeak, 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 squeak.
And it's automatic depending upon your blood pressure. It's not a conscious.
Yeah.
Here, use one of these. She throws one over to Red.
You need multiple ones because they wear out really quick. Okay. So pondering here. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm just parsing through everything that's happening. Harry, you've been very quiet. What's going on in your head right now?
I was this close to retiring.
I was short, man.
No.
Every time you try to get out, they pull you back
Two
in.
week, 2 weeks,
2 weeks, man.
2 weeks, and I was out. I don't care if you are short, Hudson. Get it done.
Uh, yeah, I
No,
mean,
no, yeah. I mean, that may actually be sort of um, actually. So Andy kind of comes over and goes kind of quietly. It's like, well, it looks like all of this is still going to happen before the end of school, so no time to get short timers. I guess you can't get short timers disease yet, or senioritis.
there you go.
Yeah, can't get senioritis yet. They have stuff to do. So the statues have been sort of whispering amongst all of this. Um, Kind of conversing while you guys are touching base with the concordance and that sort of thing. Andy, when Andy comes over to you, Harry, she'll say, it's a little weird. Like, I understand some of the people here. I understand why telekinesis isn't. I don't know where I am. I don't know why I'm not here. I mean, I'm glad I'm not. I'm like super glad I'm not. But where am I? And where are you guys? It may not matter, I guess, if you guys fix everything, we fix everything. Maybe I'm not here because I'm helping. Uh,
Or perhaps it's more dire
Those
than
are
that.
all very concerning thoughts. Thank you.
what? I don't get to help? You've been
No.
helping. You've been helping my team for the whole like, even when I
I
yell at you.
appreciate your help.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's just it's weird. It's weird how this come together. All right. I think this. Okay, so Summer, you have the, how did I get you to help? I think was the fill in the blank on that. And you had another one for sort of get influence over. And honestly, you sort of did that uh, if you choose to. Well, no, I guess it isn't really a choose thing. Um, Really, just demonstrating trust in them is what it would take to. Uh, I think it's a smidge more than what's happened thus far, but um, demonstrating trust in their ability to, sort of their ability to help. They are newbies. They've got infinite cosmic power, but they're A, new to the superheroing thing, and B, they're simpler concordance shards. They're not they're not any of them housing complete concordant shards. They have one portion of the whole, which means that the three of them together work very well together, because they are housing a portion. They're all ready to go Captain Planet on you guys or anybody, so they work pretty well together. But um, they're also new to that, so they've got their own self doubt, they've got their own crap to deal with and stuff like that. So showing trust is how you get influence over them. Getting them to help is moving forward on the thing. So questions asked and answered appropriately.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Um, so this is really and maybe you don't have an answer to this, in which case I'll throw it open to the group. But since some are asked, I'm gonna put this in front of you guys. Where is the next appearance of the Infinity Magus fight? I don't have anything in mind because I was not expecting that question. So it's kind of like, where's a really cool place for something like that to happen?
So, if no one else has anything, I know where I've always wanted to have a superhero showdown at.
That's awesome. That's perfect. That's exactly what I'm asking. Um, the question is to Summer, so Summer can
Yes.
certainly jump in.
I'll defer to Adam first. I'll
All
go
right.
for it.
All right.
No, I have always wanted
Oh,
a superhero fight at like a monorail or a light rail station,
okay.
because then you get to have that Incredibles moment where you have to stop a train.
Of course you do. Okay. So you're saying here in Halcyon City somewhere, and there's a
That
uh,
that is merely me as a player's suggestion because again, I've always wanted to have a superhero showdown at a
so
light rail station.
so at a meta level, Mike is saying monorail station. Now, does that have to be in Halcyon City, or do we have any other ingredients to throw in the pot?
Well, God
Oh.
knows we probably got an amazing light rail / monorail system. So
I mean, it's never come
You're
up.
cutting out there, Dave.
Well,
Yeah, but we could do this like monster style in Japan, so
Disney World.
protecting all
oh
those
my,
innocent lives.
no,
Oh yes,
seriously,
no,
Disney World, that's fantastic.
a theme park would be amazing.
A theme park. I mean, seriously, because you could literally punch yourself from one country to the next. That's fantastic.
And I mean, given some of the powers involved, somebody might get punched into the Caribbean. Like,
That is so good.
Well, there will be somebody on the loudspeaker saying it's all part of the show as well.
Yep. Yep. Oh my god. Oh my god. That's that.
nice.
So, yeah, we figured out where the next appearance, Disney World. They show up in Disney World in 2 days.
Field trip.
Senior field trip.
We
Senior
better
field.
scout out the area beforehand.
That's awesome. I mean, I have only lucky enough to have come back from Disney World not really that long ago. Although I will say, for the record, I'm probably, when it comes to simply knowledge of the area, I'm going to have to defer to Dave, Margie, and James on this one because they've been like 100 times. So.
Yes, that's one of those crazy things in our lives.
It
but
is
sure.
really kind of weird that, I mean, but because of work trips and
Yes,
various
but
things,
I
you
was
guys
a
ended.
kid.
That was your standard Christmas for like what,
Well,
6
no,
years?
we only went there one Christmas,
Oh,
or we went there a couple of Decembers because that's when Margie had a conference down there.
right.
At least 2/3 of the trips were related to conferences. In fact, the very first time was when I got asked if I wanted to have a ticket to the Gardner conference down there in October of 2001 because the guy who had the ticket didn't want to fly after 9/11.
Right.
And I was like,
I remember that.
sure. And like, you know, uh, you know, James is a year and a half old, so
Yeah.
it's still fun.
My perception as an outside observer was that there was a period of about a decade where it seemed like
Every
about
couple of years.
it was more like, well, from my perception it was like every year, but yeah, certainly it was very regular from about
that
age,
was before you had kids at Disney World.
well, yeah, and even then all right, Disney World, I think it's fantastic.
Thank you, Hill family. This will be amazing.
Yeah.
Someone has to. The fight has to go through It's a Small World.
Oh my god. The fight. I like how we just assume that there's a fight. But hey.
This is a
Alicia
superhero
Lee-
comic.
Alicia
Everything ends in a fight.
We know by definition there's a fight. That's why we're there. That's
It's not
Bill
necessarily our fight, but there will be a fight.
Bill is totally, yeah, that's true. It's a fair point. Bill is totally fine with there being a fight. Summer's like, no, we can talk.
Alicia leads over to Summer. Kill me now.
No,
Alicia ends up
we still need
fighting
you.
on It's a Small World.
I want Alicia in Musketeer ears by the end of that.
Alicia would be so happy to fight in It's a Small World. You know, she might have to just like open up the automatic weapons in all directions just to make sure she hits one of the combatants.
Absolutely. That's so good. Okay. So I think I'm trying to think of what else needs to be. I think the only other major open question is like what Leo and company may have deduced out of the bits of Infinity Bot kind of thing. Is that
They've built a jammer such that the fight can't jump to another time zone until the battery runs out.
Ooh, I love it. I love it. I
So
love
there's
it.
so there's a time limit, but as long as we're in the area, we can do our thing.
I will also throw out, because I want this question sort of answered to a degree that we can sort of know exactly what's going on there. Leo's theory, because he's not blind to energy sources and that sort of thing, is that the reason that the bots are reading resonant with the Kenome energy is that in that alternate future, part of the destabilization process that Dr. Infinity was continuing to, in fact, had. So if we go back through that, the destabilization effort wasn't successful in that timeline because future Charlotte had largely wiped out all but one, like basically wiped out all but one of the world wounds, at great cost, obviously. But because the wounds themselves have been closed, the destabilization effort wasn't working, and Leo's theory was, based on this other data with like the whole like, well, these kenomes came from other places, blah blah blah, is that over the course of time, Infinity might have been recapturing and relocating the kenomes in the effort to weaken the Halcyon reality.
So they're not powered by these kenomes. It's more like these bots are reality Roombas, and they're just sucking up the dust of existence. And you would expect that to be there.
Just bring in it so often that just sticks on them.
Or it captured the kenome and it's like, okay, well, these bots are gonna be active over in the in this other reality, so I'm gonna incorporate that power into the bots because that makes them largely autonomous and super powerful without me having to just don't devote a tremendous amount of power to them. So the bots themselves might have been running off a kenome or two, that particular kenome, in fact, because in the future they managed to get their hands on it. I mean, in that timeline, Adam never grabbed it because Adam left like way before any of that happened. So
it's like a supplemental power source or a power up that they've obtained, but not the primary driving mechanism.
Yeah, it wouldn't the bot's power signature, yes. Dr. Infinity's, who can say? Get a blood sample. You can find out. I'm sure they'll volunteer for that.
I could picture Alicia cracking her knuckles like I'm on it.
Blood sample.
You may have left some blood on the wall there.
I'm all over this idea.
Dr. Infinity.
Now we get into a bit of a mirror of Erised situation with like, what if the Alicia really wants to be refreshed by drinking the blood of her enemies, mainly Doctor Infinity,
If you are what you
Yeah.
eat, Voldemort is a
and it
unicorn.
shows up in the glade.
No.
That's super creepy, but I like
Oh
it.
my God.
Actually, there's
Before
one
we
more thing I want to see if we.
before we go forward with that, I want to make sure, Mike, are you okay with that as like sort of a semi-explanation, possible theoretical whatchamajigger for that?
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay, I didn't think it really probably mattered too much, but that version of Adam never really was using the keynomes in the first place, so it's kind of weird. Anyway, Bill, you were saying something.
Um, I get the impression like we saw Harry take off earlier. He's here with A10. Can do you think Summer has kind of figured out the dynamic that he's kind of gaining distance, or if not, has decided at least is kind of pulling away from the team?
Again,
Here's the mask.
I feel yeah. Again, I feel like that's probably a Pierce the Mask. I realize what a terrible
Oh
briar.
no.
I realize what a terrible
Oh,
briar
look at
patch
that.
is for you, but
Don't worry, I mark potential every time I roll Pierce the Mask, so it's
oh, do you? Oh my God.
no.
I was gonna say, I'm gonna stop calling for that. No, when you Pierce the Mask, I say, oh, 10 plus, ask 3. Well, what are you really planning?
Yeah,
All right.
and she will approach Harry, kind of look
Well,
at A10 as well. Oh, go
so
ahead.
I will say, you don't. I mean, the question doesn't have to. I don't really personally think the Pierce the Mask questions need to be asked overtly.
No,
Or
no, but she has a question she's going to ask him.
okay, all right, sure, sure, go for it.
And the question that she's actually going to ask is, um, "Are you okay coming with us one more time?"
Ha ha, that's brilliant, Harry.
Uh, yeah, of course. You guys are my team. I'll always be willing to help.
So now I'm going to ask something as a GM here. I'll always be willing to help. So is this Harry reassuring his teammate, Harry reassuring himself, or Harry realizing that that's true, even though the plan is still to leave, that what he said is still also true? Where does that fall? And as you know, is it reassuring, empty reassuring words, or is it like I'll always be there to help? And he realizes as he says it that that's it's true. Or where does that fall in that? Where does it fall for you?
Uh,
Or is it sort of like I feel responsible, so I just need to?
no, I think it's more.
Or is it not
a
admitting
bit
that
of,
you're leaving?
no, I mean a bit of surprise that Summer would ask, and then the moment of self-reflection of,
Summers probably figured it out. Is that
well,
certainly in is
yeah,
like that's part of it? Is Harry realizing that Summers probably done the math?
but that, yeah, Menagerie can always call on Harry.
And I asked that because I wanted Summer to have kind of an accurate impression of what the words mean in the
What she heard it as was probably the same way that Leo would have said, "I'll always be your friend."
yep,
Like they're not together, but
always, yeah. And some of that, I mean, I really do feel like as he's saying it is kind of when he realizes that it's true. Because a lot of what Harry's been going through strikes me as he's still trying to sort of figure out I mean, one of the reasons he hasn't said anything to even to A10 is because he hasn't necessarily been super comfortable or just trying to get his head around it or anything like that stuff. So what is true and what isn't true about that whole situation is still kind of getting nailed down. And this happens to be a true thing. Surprise, surprise. Kind of for everybody.
And we will always be there when you call on us too.
Okay, so I think what are you really planning is certainly that's asked and answered. What do you intend to do? Also, I think that's those two. The what are you really planning is sort of like that's the assumption that was built on you going and asking the question in the first place. What do you intend to do is kind of where that goes. Save the other one, or you got something you want to?
One of her questions is always, "What do you want me to do?"
And you say one of your questions because somehow you always get three.
It's such a mystery.
Yeah, I know. Mundane 3. I'm gonna get you to flip those. You're gonna do that whole flipping those labels around Disney World. Maybe not. I say that and then you'll prove me wrong. So Harry, is there something that you want from? I'll say summer, even if it may make more sense to answer it on at the team-wide level or anything like that. Or
From a very sappy level, keep doing what you're doing. You're a good superhero. I know you can help a lot of people.
We're going to give Harry and A10 the group hug.
yay!
But, yep, I'm good.
All right, awesome. It's a little early for us stopping, but I'm not ready for Disney World. I will.
Is anyone ever really?
But I do want. So let's quickly go around and just make sure that we've got if there's other stuff that you guys want, because we'll probably go to that at the next session. So that's neither here nor there, I guess, really. But do kind of want that.
Do we know where in Disney World?
Well,
it's kind of a large place, so
near the
it's
monorail.
a small world after all.
Oh my God.
Well, so it's at the Magic Kingdom.
It's going to be where the monorail is. Mari's like,
well, the monorail goes all over the park.
Yeah.
But,
It came to Mari's attention because of the monorail accident.
Right. So we'll get more details nailed down. But I mean, it's with those two, it's going to range around. Certainly. But yeah, you're right. It goes all over the park. But honestly, just getting Disney World is way. Yeah, it's big, but
I'm just thinking of how we're going to cover Disney World, especially if they're bopping in and out of existence all around it.
That's what the jammer's for.
That's what the jammer's for. You should be able to pin them down to at least not constantly teleporting.
And then we can stand in line for the monorail to get over to they're out.
No.
30 minutes later.
Yeah. Okay. No one's going to be. You guys are all superheroes. You can get wherever you want to as fast as you want to in Disney World, which makes you.
Harry's the only one who doesn't fly, and he'll probably get there first.
Yeah. That's true. Okay. So.
What about Alicia?
Bike.
Alicia's got the
I was
bike.
gonna say, didn't we actually go through this once before?
Alicia's got the. It's actually
her V-cycle.
Yeah. Did we actually do that as a Kirby craft?
No, it is not yet a Kirby craft. It's
just a thing.
It's just a thing she has.
It's just a thing.
She's got the grappling system as well. You got the specs that you could build larger grapples for the bike.
Nice. I like it. I'm a little bummed because I had this thing that I wanted to do all the way through this game, and it's never come. And I should have interspersed it at some point in time during the whole roomie thing with you guys in the apartment. But the reason that there was something I can't remember what it was early on that Dave wanted to introduce uh, Kirby Crackles somehow into the game as like some sort of I can't remember what it was. And I didn't want to let him do it because I at some point in time I fully intended to have that be a brand of breakfast cereal, and I never got to do it.
So when we sprinkle like chocolate shavings in coffee at work, that's Kirby Crackles.
Perfect.
That's what they look like. The Kirby.
That's
Nice.
awesome.
Nice.
I love it. Okay, so Alicia's kind of gotten that. Does anybody have anything that they want to sort of have done or do here in the Twilight Glade before we sort of wrap things up for this evening?
My thing got cut off, but I think it was for the better.
What's that?
Oh, my thing at the beginning got cut off, but I think it was for the better.
I mean, yeah, sorry about that, honestly.
That's all right.
But
like I said, everything worked out.
Do you still want to make that offer to somebody just to simplify that whole equation?
No, because now I'm gonna hold on to it for MacGuffin-ness, for It's a Small World. So.
Oh my god. Okay. My god, that's terrible.
Explosion rocks. It's a small world.
And Mike, if you like that, the keynome itself may be an integral part of Leo's jamming device, so it may just
that
have to
could
be
be
used
it
for that.
too.
Oh, that would be. I mean, honestly, you're going to need some kind of major juice to be able to like go, no, Dr. Infinity, you don't get to do your thing.
Okay, now I want to do a thing on the forum where it's just like Leo banging his head against the wall. It's just like, I can't think of anything to power this. Adam shows up and is just like, hey, I've been looking for somebody trustworthy for this.
Well, and it certainly makes sense that it could have come up in conversation because some of this going on here has been like the whole like the Dr. Infinity of the future had this signature, the bots have some of this, it's like, okay, well, the conversation has included reference to the Keynome stuff with Leo, all this kind of stuff. So yeah, it totally makes sense. I love it. Love it. Love it a lot. And then we can end up embedding a Keynome in Disney. That under Disney and all of the
it's a real world after all.
And all the and all the conspiracy tunnels. I love it. Margie, anything?
I just want to make sure that everybody's going to be safe here with whatever we're doing.
I mean, it's as safe as it can be. What's happened to them has not yet happened to them. It's possible, if everything goes swimmingly to plan, that this place will simply not be.
I'm just wondering if we should, ask Carrie's grandma to, spend a little time here while we're off doing our thing, just to make sure, because they can't do anything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Harry's grandma isn't combat capable really at this. I mean,
we don't need anybody who's combat capable. We need somebody who can be in the grove, who can use a cell phone.
And honestly, I think if she called anyone and said, "Hey, I need help," they'd come running, no question.
Oh, yeah. Grandma?
Like,
yeah.
What kind of influence does she have?
She has all the influence. I mean, think about this. Anybody from an older generation has influence over anybody from a younger generation. She is from the oldest generation.
Was Grandma Gail the radiance of her time?
No.
I think she was more crotchety, or more.
No, she got a husband and family. So
she's sassy. But she's got automatic influence over everybody younger than her. That's sort of everybody. I shouldn't say she hasn't lost some of it, but those instances are few and far between. Yeah, we can. Harry, do you want to make that call and say, "Hey, Grandma, I need you to babysit the Glade"?
Sure. Seems like a solid plan.
Is there a move that you have for calling on your family for favors? I
Maybe?
can't
One
remember if
second.
that's a
I
thing.
know I have something for with my family.
Yeah, let me look at that real quick. I'm not. I may
Got a
be
book?
more.
Uh, not unless I have some kind of authority over grandma.
Like I said,
Yeah,
influence
no.
over someone from your mark influential equals. No.
I thought he had something that was like my ghost thing.
Yeah. No, he. I mean, his playbook has it, but he doesn't actually have. Well, he's got symbol of authority.
Yeah, that's I was looking at or referencing symbol of authority.
You could just ask. It's really kind of.
I think she would be touched.
It's really kind of the whole. I need to go look at the hot mess thing. I haven't had a chance to get up to date. Pyrokinetic Harley Quinn. I was actually talking to Kaylee about hot mess earlier today, so that's kind of amusing. Where does he come up with all of his superhero names? That's what her main question was. Oh my god. Anyway, all right. Yeah, we can certainly line that up. I'm not going to worry about a roll for anything like that unless there was a specific move for it. I'm not going to worry about it. So it's all good. Okay, so, and I don't mean to. It's just between the I've got to prep for Disney World, and honestly, my headache never entirely went away. I'm just.
No, this is the logical break point.
Yeah, it makes a really good, really good break for you. So, we will wrap up with going around the. Do we do that? I think
I
maybe
don't know that we do.
we don't.
Well,
We don't need to go around and do the closer twos. I think we leave that until like next. One of the
well, you
things.
know what? There is one more thing I want to do
What was
before we
that?
leave.
What was that?
I want to comfort and support the statues.
Okay, that sounds good.
Just, to give them courage and to,
Everyone ready? Your
you know,
team points.
and I'm gonna use actually one of my things. Thank you. I love you too.
I don't know. I just mean I don't want you to have a bad experience.
I will lend you some spare mundane. I have enough.
Yeah. Okay. I gotta make. Yeah. Okay. So you said you were gonna use something. I didn't catch that part.
Yeah. So actually, I'm gonna use in good spirits.
Oh.
So when you comfort and support someone by telling them how they exemplify the best parts of the modern world, I roll freak instead of mundane.
Ah. Very nice. Very nice.
Great example of, my being able to tell them, how
Right.
amazing it is that they've persevered through all of this.
Yes. Oh, that's perfect. That's great. Um. So yeah, just yeah. I love that the idea that the whole idea of how amazing it is that they've gone through all that. That's fantastic. So, is that your roll? That was a 9. Anyone who want to
I'm
now?
just, no, you're bad.
Very good,
So
Citrate.
I can say it.
Does now
I was just preparing you for the miss, okay?
given
I would expect that from Dave.
given
Okay.
given that given that certainly she's not the only one who's got connections to the ponies, and certainly some of the other folks here. Like I said, does anybody have anything they want to add? That I mean, I don't care whether it's a 9 or a 10. The comfort and support has been done, but if you guys are so inclined, somebody could certainly add something and throw another point into the team into it, push her up to 10 if you want.
If nobody else does, I think Summer logically could, because she just helped put together a plan that is hopefully going to end this and make this problem go away entirely. And she can go promise them, along with Charlotte, like, we're going to make this right. We're all working together for all of you.
Okay. So that will get you up to, we'll spend a team on that. That'll get you up to a 10. I had never.
Basically, what I want to do is strengthen them for what's coming up, right? So I want to give them a +1 going forward against anything that might, come
Sure,
their way.
sure. Um,
We'll
and
throw that in a point into team
yeah,
to
the
make
point
that
is
happen.
getting it up to the team is having the point roll into team works really well because getting it up to a 10 gives you that option. Um, and yeah, I mean what you see from that action in the fiction in like what's actually happening, and Maury responds to it, the ones who are already talking respond to it, but some of the ones who have been doing nothing but sort of that weird echoey Greek chorus up to this point actually come out of it a little bit from the way that you reach out to them, and they're maybe not fully back up on firing on all cylinders, but they wake up a little bit.
My goal is to give them hope, and then
Yep. And you guys have a plan, and it involves mouse ears. So the question, I don't know if you guys have caught this.
I see a comet coming.
The one part of the conversation is that I don't remember whether it was somebody was doing this or it was a suggestion or whatever, was the idea that you with the it's kind of funny that I didn't think about doing this at some point in time, is we don't necessarily do the end of the end of session moves at the end of every session as much as sort of at the end of like milestones, the end of a story arc, that kind of thing. Partly because it just makes it a little bit crazy trying to come up with it. Although I feel like a lot of kind of good stuff happened in this session that I sort of want to recognize by doing the move anyway, even though we were talking about it. So,
Well, you could say that since this is kind of closing the door on this and opening the door to the final,
yep.
that
Yeah.
is kind of a
I think
checkpoint.
I think it
I
is.
think that's a check. I think it's a legit checkpoint.
I think it's a legit checkpoint too.
Oh.
First of all, I will say Summer markdown influence over red.
Oh. Hey, Doyce. I
Yes.
did think of something else I wanted to do, though.
What's that?
Oh, that's just sort of like take the concordance guys aside and just be like, kind of like, look, I know we haven't really gotten along together.
No, says red.
And
What?
But,
He's agreeing with you.
yeah, we haven't really gotten along, and a lot of that's my fault. And I know if you guys blame me for this, you deserve it. But I gotta go save the world. So if for the time being we just bury the hatchet and get this taken care of, if you guys think that I am like the worst concordance member ever, we can deal with that afterwards, and I'll agree with you.
And they all kind of like, they don't really look at each other and not like, but there's a sense of them sort of checking in with each other. Yes, you've trusted us, and we will trust you.
Cool.
All right.
Because I was trying to lean into my share of vulnerability or weakness move.
Okay. What is? Let's do that. Or does it need a?
Yeah.
What,
No, there's no roll.
there's no roll. It's just a thing.
Yep. They all get influence over me.
Oh
Huzzah.
crap! All right. Huzzah!
And I clear a condition.
Nice. Very nice.
Not right now.
I had a crap ton of them after the previous game, and
I was
I want
asking, like, who else needs comfort and support while we're
Yeah.
in the plus
Honestly,
zero?
Well, you know what?
Harry
We can
Sure,
have
Mark.
we can have we'll lay out some comfort and supports as you guys are traveling down to Disney World. Like,
I mean, I have
Disney World is the best place for comfort and support.
I have 4 conditions.
oh my god.
Aw.
I was at 3, so I mean, I feel for you.
Yeah, Harry
What?
got
I've been this way for like 5 sessions.
Harry got rocked. You know though.
Well, how about this? Would you accept some comfort from Summer in that she's reflecting the team's acceptance of whatever Harry does next?
Definitely.
Give it a roll, he said, knowing that it's based on mundane and really what's the point?
Anyone want to come help Perry out?
Oh, you want to go for a 10?
Oh yeah,
I
Alicia,
will.
Adam. All
yeah, I'll
right.
help out.
Everybody just dives in. It's like
That was what Harry.
Group
Don't
hug.
forget
Harry swept under a group hug that Alicia does not participate in.
if you
Like
share.
I like to think that like Summer said, like you want to come with us one more time, and it took everybody else like maybe 2 minutes to really twig what she meant, or for that to percolate in with everything else that's going on.
Oh crap! Yeah.
It's going to complicate things. I'm not sure that Adam still has figured it out because he's like the last one to notice that kind of stuff.
He
Although
had a few other things on his
Uh,
plate
he
tonight.
has
I
the
I was
senses and the
I
empathy stuff.
I have my empathy back. I think I can figure
Yeah,
out some things.
yeah.
Uh,
Um,
although Harry, do remember if you share some vulnerability right now, you do get to clear a condition.
Which one?
Oh, when you share a vulnerability or weakness with someone, tell them a secret about your legacy, including just your own feelings about it, to clear a condition and give them influence over you.
Ah,
Which
everyone has influence. I
well,
think. I don't know.
it wouldn't really necessarily matter who you share it with, even if you share it with everybody, because we can sort of pick whoever or it could be the
yeah,
Summer. When like it could have been part of that conversation with Summer too.
that does make sense, especially with that whole "I'll be there for you."
You know, like some sort of like real quick sort of you know how you feel like somebody completely accepts what your decision, but you still kind of feel like you need to explain it to people. Like even if it's a little
Yeah.
like short little thing, like
Yeah.
you know. But what do you say? What does Harry say about the legacy? Not the legacy necessarily, but the family or how relevant
We got to
to
this point.
what is the thing that he says about the legacy that has to do with like your current relationship with it and why you decide you need to be just you for a while? If you had to like
Yeah.
say like just a one muttered sentence to Summer, what would that be?
I don't want to follow in my parents' footsteps and join the HHL.
I like it. Summer, what do you think?
I think that everyone else on this team, to some greater or lesser extent, can definitely understand not wanting to follow your parents' footsteps. She's gonna look over at Alicia specifically, but like it's not exclusive to her. You know, like I think
Alicia
that's all
waves
of
her
it.
arms in the air.
I mean, my parents are great, but okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Adam's got that other situation going. My parents are great. He says, having literally rewritten reality to keep from stressing out over his parents.
To make
Um,
them happy.
yeah, okay, sure.
But at the same time, like we can recognize that Adam didn't want for himself, at least for a long time, what his parents wanted for him,
Yeah,
which was not to be this thing.
yeah.
So
Hmm.
that's why she counts.
Although he has come around to that sort of point of view a little bit. Anyway, all right. So Harry, that between the group hug and sort of opening up a little bit of Summer, that at least gets rid of a couple of your conditions. Remove the ones that seem like the most appropriate ones, given group hugs and sort of confessing how you feel about the whole HHL thing. Um, I am good with any of those things. And since we are also going to go around here. Oh, incidentally, apparently we've been playing Masks on a hard mode. Most of you have already heard this conversation, I'm sure. Apparently we've been playing Masks for 60 sessions on hard mode because
Because we
there,
didn't turn the page.
yeah, there's actually a little thing on page 90 that says if you're gonna shift, if somebody shifts your labels at the end of the session and it's supposed to give you a condition, don't do that. Just have them change a different label or something. Um, so I think we've all suffered at some point in time with a label being shifted where it gives you a condition at the end of the session. And while I'm
Mhm.
fine with that in terms of the fiction I'm also equally fine with the fiction that it reflects when you don't do that. Um, so just be aware that if somebody tries to shift a label if somebody tries to shift a label that can't be shifted because it's locked, let it stand. If somebody tries to shift a label that would give you a condition, rewind, take a mulligan, whatever. Okay. So, with that having been said, um, Alicia, closer to the team, further away from the team, more into your own image of yourself.
I'm I'm gonna say closer to the team, um, because I'm sort of feeling like, you know, here at this 11th hour, the team is actually suddenly gelling together. Um,
We're
Yeah, I like
always
it.
there. You just didn't notice it.
I'm not
and
sure I agree, but carry on.
Oh, no. I could give her grief.
to that end, I'm going to point at. Yeah, I'm gonna have to point it at Summer for this because she's the one who's really kind of like she's reaching out, she's touching everyone, she's pulling people together, she's spotting things, she's helping folks, um, and so that kind of makes me feel like regardless of what happens, maybe there's a chance we're going to survive as a team.
I like it. I like it. Summer. Also, so clear condition or take potential.
Hmm.
Summer.
I'm going to say closer to Harry because this feels like something that we kind of almost let slip, and she's glad that he came out and stuck with us, even though like he's clearly has other stuff on his mind.
And didn't deny it. Like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, yeah.
So she had like a really kind of good, positive kind of Leo flashback with that encounter, and that's always good for her.
Cool. That's sweet. So, Harry, uh, you get influence if you didn't already have it. Shift labels in.
Yeah, I had it.
Yeah, I figured. Um, Summer, of course, potential or clear condition. We'll go right to Harry. We'll just keep going down this domino effect. Closer to the
Uh,
team, further away from the team, more damage to yourself.
I would say closer to the team with Summer.
Nice. That's been a while since you've had a closer to the team.
Yeah, well, I've
You've been going through some
been
stuff.
also like half the time doing my own thing
That's true.
for the past few sessions.
So, and this is another benefit to you then. Mark potential or clear condition.
Ooh.
Huzzah!
So that gets you like down to just like one or something. It's much less painful. Charlotte.
I'm gonna say closer to the team because um, everybody just jumped into problem solve and do what they need to do to kind of make this work, and that's always great. Um,
Put a lot of puzzle pieces together, all that kind of stuff.
but I'm having a hard time picking out like the one most important person on there. So
That is.
um, um,
Hmm.
Jordan.
well, actually, I was gonna say Mari, but
It's this thing of like the next generation, you know, 10 years later, it's Jordan. She doesn't have any superpowers. She has like she's like Fred from Big Hero 6 and she's got a dinosaur outfit with like super jump in it and breeze fire. Um,
Leo will build that.
he'll build it now. Anyway, uh, yeah, I don't know who to say. I mean, it could be some. It doesn't have. It could be an NPC. It could be uh, Mari or
I was
something
going
like
to say
that.
Mari is who I was going to say.
That I mean, there's no reason not to do that. Honestly, it doesn't. I mean, it. There's
I think that was
just
sort of the focus for me of the episode,
right.
but I think
Oh, for sure.
closer to the team because of
Because all the
everything else.
team like came in to help facilitate that for sure. But at the same time, the person that you're really connecting with is, more so than the others is more. There's no reason not to do that. I think it's fine.
Cool.
Weird knock-on effect is that you talk to Mari in the present, who hasn't gone through any of this, and she still has the influence because you've just learned to listen to her, which is kind of a good thing. Adam, take
Um,
take mark influence over A10, and then
yeah.
answer the question.
I am gonna say Charlotte for uh getting everybody kind of like on the same page, and through going to the statues and kind of like
Yeah,
using that as the kind of siren call for all of us.
yeah,
Cute.
I'm seconding that. It was either her or
Mhm.
Harry. I was like,
yeah.
So go ahead and shift my labels. I know you got him.
So,
Okay.
all right, good stuff.
And so on a slightly out of game topic,
Hmm.
because at this point, with how the narrative's going,
Yep.
I don't think it makes a whole lot of sense to switch over to armature for this final act.
Oh, probably not. I
No.
mean,
Do you mind if I take a mulligan on that advance then?
yeah, that's fine. We can do something else. You can certainly do something else. I mean, I liked having you in Armiger as for like an episode. I honestly think that's kind of a fun thing to do, like to keep in our back pocket as like sort of a fun move, you know, here and there anyway. But yeah, if it looks like things are gonna, because things, I mean, to be fair, if things are wrapping up a little bit uh directly or a little bit more aggressively um than I had anticipated, but that's okay. But a lot of the groundwork was laid, so it's just kind of we'll see how that all kind of shakes out. So yeah, by all means, take the mulligan, do that thing.
Okay,
Um,
3.
all right, 3.
Uh, Bill knows what I'm talking about.
Okay. All right. All right. All right. Disney World. That was not what I was expecting.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I think that's it. In honor of dearly departed Stan Lee, we will call this episode The Peril and the Power. Just
Excelsior.
because it fits well enough, and, well, we ought to do something. So, anyway. All right. Thank you guys very much. As almost always, a fantastic game. And when it hasn't been, it's usually my fault. So, just great and a ton of stuff to look forward to for next session. That's really great. Are we all good? I know this next week's going to be Thanksgiving. Are we all good for